All right. Hello, everyone. GM. Welcome to a special weekly recap episode of not only Overpriced JPEGs, but potentially also the Looksrare pod. I think to be determined if this is really a full crossover episode or if y'all are just joining me here today. But I'm here with Scaly, Debussy, Punk Vandelay, who are all a part of the Looksrare podcast team. Welcome, guys. Thanks for suggesting this and then also hopping on here.
Thanks for having us.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, good morning.
We've got lots of topics to get into here. The Elon Twitter news, some of the hot drops coming up. Want to get y'all's thoughts. Before we fully kick off, though, I do have to give us a moment to give thanks and hear a word from our sponsors.
It's increasingly obvious that everything will become tokenized, and NFT marketplaces needs robust financial reporting, performance analysis, and the peace of mind that they are compliance ready. GILDED's NFT Ops is a one-stop financial reporting solution for growing NFT platforms. GILDED has developed marketplace-specific modules to track the financial performance of NFT creators, including revenue tracking, collection metrics, royalty payments, and revenue share. Customers of NFT Ops gain full access to accounting tools and powerful APIs for custom integrations that simplify operations, streamline reporting, and produce tax-ready data. So no wonder why so many top brands like CoinMarketCap, Gitcoin, Nifty's, and POAP trust GILDED to automate complex reporting workflows. Visit gilded.finance/bankless to learn more. If you're starting on your NFT journey, you need MetaMask. This is your tool to unlock the world of DeFi and NFTs without giving up custody over your private keys. MetaMask is both a secure in-browser wallet and also a secure bridge for your hardware wallet so that you can connect to any Web3 enabled website. You can now trade tokens with any DEX or aggregator. MetaMask Swap gathers real-time pricing information across the DeFi exchange ecosystem, allowing you to select your best price while getting all of the MetaMask benefits of self-custody, lower gas costs, and increased transaction success rates. MetaMask also has a fantastic mobile wallet, which I use while I'm out and about. And I use it to collect POAPs, NFTs, and use it for all my DeFi things while I'm away from home. If you haven't downloaded MetaMask, you gotta try it out. Download MetaMask for desktop and mobile at metamask.io, or load up your Ledger, Trezor, Keystone, or Lattice hardware wallets so that they too can get into Web3.
All right. Big news this morning. Elon Musk has put in an offer to buy Twitter. He obviously has already purchased 9.8% of the company. Was that right? And now is trying to buy the rest of it. Thoughts? Scaly, I think, were you the one who was most excited about this, or is it all of you?
Yeah, well, my favorite part was the price he offered. It was $54.20, which was like, 10% or 20% above the current market price. But I don't think that was just a random price he came up with.
Elon really is just the god of the Twitter trolls. Like or god of the trolls. I don't know. I've made this point here before that I do love this space for that. Like when the GameStop thing was going down, and you had all these people who were putting sell orders or automatic sells on at, it was like 420.69, and you're like, these are people who are bringing down like big institutional hedge funds, and then they have the sense of humor of children, and Elon is just the god of that.
You have to love it, though. I mean, come on.
I know, I do. I think it's hilarious. Debussy, Van, thoughts?
So I think it's super bullish for the crypto markets, actually, because if he does acquire Twitter, they might actually, onboard, let's say, Ethereum or Bitcoin or whatever cryptocurrency it is on Twitter. So hopefully it plays out well for us.
That's an interesting thought. I worry he's like a little bit erratic on these things. Because he is such a troll, he does seem to kind of like to play with the crypto market.
For sure.
Like Dogecoin one day, we're going to offer Bitcoin. You can buy Tesla with Bitcoin one day. That's gone the next day. Like, he does seem to introduce a lot of volatility to these markets when he decides to play in them, which, he obviously is a very serious person who's built these massive companies. But
that's why we love him, and we love the crypto markets, right?
That's true. Van, how about you?
Yeah, no, I think his track record speaks for itself. He is a troll, but he's continued to change our lives for the better, and he's brought us electric cars. And out in LA, he's digging holes underground to try to solve traffic, sending satellites to provide internet, to remote locations. So I think ultimately he does provide a lot of value. So very interested to see, where he takes Twitter if he does in fact purchase the company.
One of you was saying that the offer itself may be a little bit of a troll in that it's probably unlikely that it'll be accepted. Is that you, Scaly?
Yeah, from what I was reading just briefly, but it kind of makes sense, right? Is what was the final number? It was something like 50 billion or something. And while he's technically worth a lot more than that on paper, it's tied up in
right.
Yeah, it's tied up in the Tesla stock. He'd have to borrow against that. SpaceX, it's kind of hard to value. And so for him to really come up with that kind of funding would strain even the richest man in the world. And so it seems a little unlikely, or I'd say quite unlikely, that he's actually going to do this, which makes me wonder, is this all just a troll? And then the kind of sad part is, it said he said in his offer, if they don't accept, he's going to reconsider his ownership position and basically dump all his stock.
See, that, I feel like that's the sort of, he's obviously a very serious business person, but that kind of thing is like a little bit unnerving. Like, I don't know how much Twitter, I don't know if he's passionate or serious enough about it to be the kind of, I don't know, CEO owner of it that he's been to Tesla and these other companies. Mm-hmm. And I know that's sort of the point. Go ahead.
I just had a thought. He's so smart, right? Like, we shouldn't just assume he's playing this at face value. So what he did with Tesla, he wanted to sell a bunch of his shares, right? But if he just goes out and sells it, everyone says, "Oh, you're dumping," and the price goes down.
Wow.
He came up with that whole elaborate thing about taxes, right? And he got in that fight with the senator and said, "Okay, fine, you want me to pay taxes? I'll pay taxes. I'll sell my stock to pay taxes." And that was the narrative. But that was not why he sold his stock. He sold his stock to sell his stock. And then the price didn't dump. So I wonder if he's creating this whole thing just so
he can get a little bit more liquid.
Yeah, so he can just sell his stock. Like, he's probably like, I don't want to own 10% of Twitter anymore, but he can't just dump it all. So maybe this is like an elaborate narrative for why he can sell.
That's a fascinating theory. I love that. I also think Twitter has been an undervalued stock, and not that I'm some great stock picker over here, but if anybody follows Scott Galloway, he's been on this train for a long time of, like, you had Jack Dorsey, who was like a part-time CEO to the company, because he's super focused on Square or whatever, his other platforms. And Scott makes this argument, I think quite compellingly, that Twitter would be well served moving to a subscription model, which of course we've seen them sort of start to do with the premium Twitter Blue or whatever that's called. So I also think there's like a decent marketplace. Like, it is probably an undervalued company because it's been kind of held down over the last few years by a not super present CEO, and therefore not a lot of innovation or like smart business moves coming out of it. So, borrow the 50 billion, buy it, probably can good opportunity to drive the stock price up, cover your other costs, and be able to get a little bit out of your Tesla position, which is just huge at this point. I like it. I think that's an interesting theory.
All right, I think that's enough stonks. Huh? Maybe we should move on to NFTs.
the better stuff. Driftershoots. This is, he dropped, he had a recent drop. You guys know, I think, more than I do, maybe, on this utility adding piece that he that's been circulating. Did that come from him? I saw a lot of people being like, art needs utility. I don't know. Maybe can one of you break down what's going on here?
Yeah, sure. I think the idea was, Driftershoots released open edition. So it was for 24 hours. You can mint as many. That's right. Many photo. It was a picture of him, on top of, I think it was a bridge overlooking the city. So the story behind it is that he had just, been released. So it was a big moment for him. Open editions usually don't go for 24 hours. So once everything was said and done, there was a ton that were minted. I think it was over 10,000. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I thought it was like 5,700, but you are tracking this closer than I am.
No,
Let me look it up.
Yeah, it was about 10,000.
Oh,
it was about 10,000.
Okay.
And so, so basically right after the drop, I don't know who started it, but people started saying like, hey, so now what do we get? We just bought this, like, what's in it for me? And I think his response was kind of like, excuse me, like, it's art, it's a photograph, and you bought it. What are you talking about? And then people started getting mad that he wasn't going to offer utility in the future. And then it brought up this whole, very interesting point, right? That if you're an artist in this space with all these games that have been played recently with these projects, can you just release an art NFT anymore? Are you allowed to just do that?
Okay, so that is what it was. It was the utility, because I was seeing chatter, but I couldn't tell if he had said, hey, there's going to be utility to this, and like he had made some announcement, or if it was the community putting that pressure on. That makes sense. I really am so on the side of artists on this, of like, you can be an artist and not have to provide utility to people who buy your NFT. Obviously, if you promise something or you say there's going to be utility, deliver on that. But like otherwise, do your art. Like I'm so 100% on the side of artists on this.
Exactly. Well, you know what's fascinating? About like 2 years ago, in 2020, on Nifty Gateway, there were tons of open editions, right? Slime Sunday ended up having a piece open for 48 hours for $40, and nobody complained. You know, I think he minted over, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's like over 500 pieces, which is, you know, astounding right now if you think about it. But like no one ever complains about like the price of it, you know, they just appreciate the art. And it feels like the new wave of people coming in are so used to having everything utility based that they don't realize that, you know, NFT started just, you know, just by collecting art, right? And I actually it's like I posted a tweet yesterday by CyberBrokers. He's one of the founders of CyberBrokers. And he said, like, back in 2017, 18, and 19, there were NFTs that had utility, you know, and they were also cheap. And so I'm basically quoting here right now. He's like, they also used to be cheap or free and offered all of the utility off the bat, like breathing cats and collecting beer parts. And back then, the price never went up, right? And that's why they kind of like died, you know, they ended up like fading away. But now since price is increasing, everyone is jumping on this utility bandwagon. So what's going to happen, let's say in a year or a couple of months, once, you know, prices start being stagnant? Are people still going to want utility? Or are we going to go back to just like liking art for art? And that's my big question.
I definitely think that NFTs and this technology has ushered in a new generation of people who will become like art collectors. I said this recently. I was actually interviewing the Nifty Gateway folks, right? Like growing up, it never occurred to me, like art was a thing that like upper middle class, upper class, like parents maybe owned. Like it just seemed, you know, you needed to have such disposable income, and it wasn't really of interest to me. And now through this, now I'm interested in art in a way that I never previously had been. And I think you'll see more of sort of my generation like interested in art. I just think we're in this place in the market where, because there are people making so much money, we're still in that very frothy, you know, bubbly place, early internet day comparisons that you hear all the time, right? Where people are just expecting everything to make them a ton of money, and that will eventually simmer down. Also, Driftershoots, it's Driftershoots, right? Right? I always want to say drifter. Wait, that is what I always want to say, like drift shooters. I always mix up the ER. His work is incredible. Like the Where My Vans Go art, or, you know, shots are just incredible. If folks haven't seen that, they should go check it out, because it's just like pictures of his feet in his Vans, like all over the world in these like high up locations, and it's just breathtaking.
Yeah, they're amazing. Our friend who's on the pod sometimes, Plum, he bought 2 of those Where My Vans Go, and
in early days.
I remember at the time. Well, not super early, but earlier, you know, the price has gone up since he's bought them. And I'd already heard of him, but when he did that, he pulled the trigger on those. I was so impressed. And, you know, I think that's part of the reason he did this. Well, I know it's part of the reason he did this drop, right? Is people like me and everyone else who loves his work, but doesn't want to pay 50, 60 ETH for one of those pieces could get in for 0.2, you know. And initially the open edition for 24 hours seemed a bit ridiculous, like kind of greedy. But the more I think about it, I don't see why it's like, who cares, right? The whole point is that if you want to buy one, you get to buy one, and it's 0.2. And because it's 24 hours, there's not going to be a gas war. But I think this backlash is from the people you were talking about earlier who are just trying to flip, and they mistake it. It's their own fault, right? 100%. Like if you bought 10 of those for 0.2 to sell 9 of them, well, why would anyone want to pay more than 0.2? Everyone who wanted one bought one.
Totally. I would love to have somebody who's not on this side. I'd love to actually hear from somebody who is aggrieved and understand their argument, because to me it is so ridiculous to have created an expectation in your own mind and then be mad when an artist delivering on exactly what they said, which was a piece of art, doesn't fulfill the expectation that you made up. Like, what? Find that very strange.
I don't know if any past photo project has had utility, right? So I don't know where the expectation of utility is coming from.
I think it's literally from the word NFT. I interviewed Danny Cole. No, I'm not. It's like, I interviewed Danny Cole. It came out, I guess, yesterday, and he is creating utility with Creature World, which is his project in many ways. But it's a little different than your maybe typical NFT project. And, he's dealt with that, having to like kind of realign the community's expectations. And we talked about just the pressure on all projects these days, even projects that have openly said they're going to have utility. It's like, it's never enough. There's really an insatiability to communities right now that, again, I think ultimately will simmer as the market matures. I'll say just last thing also, what's his name? Driftershoots' name? Is it Isaac?
Mm-hmm. Isaac Wright.
It's Isaac, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's just got a really cool story too. I think, I guess in response to, I don't know, call it backlash or whatever, this people demanding utility, he was just sort of like, are you kidding me? Like, I've been in jail. I've had to like claw my way up to where I am now. Like, this is not going to faze me. And he's very open about his time, in prison. And I think he raised like $6.8 million from this open edition drop. And I think is donating over $1 million of it to the Bail Project or to some sort of criminal justice reform project. So cool story for him as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. His attitude is pretty awesome. The tweet that I really liked said, "Stop asking artists to do utility," and it said it over and over and over again, kind of like a kid writing on a chalkboard. And that tweet blew up. And then because before that, some people were trolling him, like I said, and it just, the whole thing's kind of ridiculous, but it really sums up sort of where we are right now in the space and what people expect and what artists have to go through. I mean, speaking of Danny, I just thought, I think we all have creatures on this pod, the three of us. I'm pretty sure we do. Yeah, so I love that project. And it's sad if you think about, I don't know how your interview went. I'll listen to it. I can't wait. But, I feel for the artist, right? Like, you come out with a really good project. I just glanced at the floor. It's 0.55. I don't track it. That's pretty low for that project. Mm-hmm. It's still way above mint. People love it. On all accounts, it's been successful, yet he probably is getting pressure, I imagine, that it's not doing well because, what are you doing for me right now? Why hasn't the floor quadrupled? And there's so much pressure on these projects.
Totally. We did talk about it. And I think he's got such a good head on his shoulders and understands, like, he's like, I want to do things that make me proud, that push things forward in the way that I've always wanted to and intend to. And I asked him, and he said he does feel pressure sometimes to like kowtow to the mob, but he just kind of has, his true north is really like what excites me in the morning. And I understood even better. And again, I'm a creature holder and I've been following his journey, but talking to him, I understood even better what his intention is with the project. And I'm still bullish long-term on it, realistically. But yeah, I mean, he's definitely gotten backlash at various points. And he also has a community that really loves him and are diehards, but it's tough out there, man. Have any of you released NFTs previously? Do you have NFT projects?
Actually, the three of us are doing a project called Aliens 8. Liens, and it's in pre-production, so we're gonna launch in probably 1 to 2 months.
Wow, that's exciting. Good for you. Godspeed. I've said on the show, like, I love NFTs. It will be a long time before I decide to launch an NFT project because I just see the work that goes into it. Do you have anything you can share about it here?
I'd love to. Yeah, the one thing I was gonna say is, what we decided, because of a lot of those pressures that we were feeling and what we kind of really wanted to do is just make a fun NFT project. And so we were actually doing a free mint and no royalties.
Oh, I love that.
And so the only way we would make any money is we were retaining a portion of the NFTs for ourselves. And so that, just like CryptoPunks did, that's the model that we're emulating. And so to me personally, it relieves a lot of that stress, right?
Totally.
It's like we're giving these away for free. We're not even taking royalties. So like, I think that clearly shows that for the first couple of years, like, this is just a fun project. Like, buy it if you want to. Don't expect it to make you money. And we're not going to rug, because how would we rug? Like, we don't even have any money.
Yeah, that's great. Yes, I feel my heart settle when I think about doing something that way, as opposed to selling and then having the pressure to make the price go up, basically.
Yeah.
Van, Deb, anything?
Oh. I was just gonna say, when you get $2 million on day one, it's like, wow, okay, and now what are you gonna do? And there's just so much pressure that way.
100%. I was gonna ask if Van or Deb, if you have anything you want to add to the Aliens 8 convo.
Yeah, just so we're building our own native marketplace. So kind of like CryptoPunks as well. So you're not gonna have to go, let's say, on OpenSea or whatever it is. You're gonna just go on the website, and you like an alien, you just go, you choose one and you buy it, trade it, do whatever you want, and the market decides the price, which is gonna be fantastic.
What's the impetus? Is it wanting to get closer to your community? Is it just we love NFTs, this is fun? What was the moment that made you want to do it?
The three of us combined, we've been in the NFT space for a really long time, and we've always wanted to create a project, and we thought that it was the perfect, with all the projects, they're raising millions of dollars, creating something. We're like, let's find, let's create a project that's free basically, and get a team that's in it for the long run. So all of our developers, our Solidity developer, our front end developers, they're not even getting paid. They're just getting paid by aliens as well, and they're in it to like build a name for themselves in the NFT community. We find that really important to build. You want to build a persona for yourself in the space and not seem like someone in it just for the money.
This I like. And you've got my wheels spinning, because I think, that it would be fun. And if you're going to be in this space commentating on it, as all of us are, I've been a part of a number of drops, so I understand how that mechanism works. But there is something nice about having your own project. But yeah, removing the sort of pricing pressure is lovely.
Definitely.
All right, I like it. We'll continue to track it. Maybe you guys will come back on in like an official interview capacity at some point when you have it out. Anything else we want to say on Driftershoots, or I want to move to Aku, which I'm pumped about.
Just gonna say with the pricing of Driftershoots, so I think it was released at 0.2, and then I think the floor dropped even to below 0.1, and then now I just glanced, it's at 0.16 or something. So it's just funny how, that's a pretty big, in percentage terms, a pretty big price variation in just a couple of days. It's just funny how people are kind of crazy, right? Like, why didn't you just buy it and hang on to it? Like, everyone's trying to flip it and then dump it, and then people are buying at the bottom, and it's like, it's just crypto. It's how it is.
I know it is. It's a lot of irrationality in all markets, but but crypto is everything on steroids, I feel like. Okay, Aku. Have y'all been tracking Micah Johnson and what's happening with Aku?
We have. We actually, on our pod that we recorded a couple of nights ago that just came out, we talked quite a bit about Aku. We're
okay.
Aku fanboys. Yeah.
Okay, I'm so into this. I think it's so underpriced, and I'm like always afraid to say that because obviously like everyone do your own research. But like, I bought 2 this morning. I'm gonna buy more. I'm so into this project. Who wants to kick it off? Deb, Van, do either of you want to? Maybe Deb. I feel like you haven't kicked off one of these segments yet.
Sure. Honestly, I would love to, but Van knows more about it than I do. He's been on it on it since the beginning. So I'll let Van do it.
Cool.
Yeah, we're all very excited about Akutars, and I think going back, the start was there were Aku chapters when Micah released these in the past. I think there's been a total of 10 chapters. So if you were a chapter holder, you were given an airdrop, which is nice, totally free, 1 Akutar per chapter, and if you had a certain number of chapters, you got these OG variations of the mint passes, which would give you a more rare Akutar. So it's been very innovative the way he's tackled this, and you see it with the price going up that there's been there's a lot of hype building up. He's been collabing with well-known brands such as Billionaire Boys Club, Ice Cream, Puma. Yeah, Puma's huge. Yeah,
Puma.
And Puma's, I used to be a sneakerhead back in the day, and have some friends that are still sneakerheads. They said Puma's, getting very popular. They've signed some major names like LaMelo Ball, and they have J. Cole collaborations. So, yeah, that's a huge collab for them.
Yeah, so I'll give a little bit of even taking it a little further back, just in case there are folks who haven't been tracking it, because I do think there's a community of people who are deep into it and love it, but I also think there's like a broader like part of the NFT world that sort of hasn't been on it. Do you guys feel the same way? Do you feel like there's a cohort of people that just like haven't discovered this project yet?
Totally.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
which is so funny to me, given that you have Micah Johnson behind it, who, you know, is a celebrity and has gotten a good bit of, maybe, I guess, mainstream press on this. But so if anybody doesn't know, Micah Johnson, former MLB player, then I guess has always probably been artistic, but left the MLB in 2018 or so, started focusing on art, and created this character, Aku, off of this story. I guess it was his nephew. You know, he's a black man, and his nephew was asked if black people can be astronauts. It was something like that then led Micah to create this character of a black astronaut, Aku. And then, he did these 10 drops, all with this Aku character that became the 10 chapters. But they're animated. They're little short films, these drops, which I love because I'm more auditory than I am visual. And all of them have, are scored and have music set to them, and are very evocative, which I love. So that's sort of the context. And then he's dropping this 15,000 Akutar, 3D character version of Aku next week. And if you have held the chapters, you're going to get airdropped them. You already have the mint pass. I am going to be in the Amazon next week. I want to get in on the public mint, but I'm going to have no Wi-Fi. I'm trying to figure out how I can scheme this thing. Maybe I'll just buy a mint pass, or I might have my boyfriend. He'd be like, these are the instructions. This is when it's dropping.
Ooh, that's
this is what I need you to do. Don't fuck this up, babe.
You go to advanced gas, you click this button.
Yes. I'm just going to give him a play-by-play and a Word doc of everything. Here's the price range I'm looking for. You just sit there.
Full on panic.
If it drops on secondary.
Yeah.
Can you imagine explaining that? Explaining that whole mechanism? So this is what you do. You see, there's going to be the OpenSea floor, but there's also going to be the Dutch auction. And then if this goes down here, what you got to do is you got to go on this website, calculate the gas.
It's going to go up. You're going to have to increase the gas. Yep.
Literally, exactly. Yeah.
It'll be interesting. I'm hopeful it's not going to happen anymore, but I was hopeful that the price would dip post reveal and I could get some more. And I've been waiting like a fool, and the floor's doubled since I started that strategy. So not working out for me.
Wait, walk me through what you mean. A floor on what?
Well, so they're going to release 5,000 more on a Dutch auction, which I don't believe they've said what the starting price is going to be. And so, just because they're going to put more into the market, there's a lot of hype right now. I was thinking, these are unrevealed. Maybe I'll just scoop up some revealed floors when the price goes back down to whatever it goes down to. But that might backfire big time.
Okay, so this is what I'm trying to calculate too. So this is my debate. Do I just buy a mint pass, which means, great, I'm in the Amazon, I don't have to worry about it. I know I'll have an Akutar. But my fear was exactly what you just described. And I asked this in their Discord last night, if it was going to be an instant reveal or delayed reveal. I guess it doesn't really matter for my purposes, but just is there going to be a dip? Am I going to regret buying a mint pass right now at 1.75 or whatever they're at? Because is it going to drop to an ETH for one after reveal? What's our thoughts? You're saying no, Scaly?
Yeah, well, if I was going to the Amazon, I would just buy a mint pass. I wouldn't.
Yeah, okay.
I wouldn't. The boyfriend factor would be too risky.
I know. I just there's so much I'm buying. Well, I don't know if I'm going to get into Moonbirds, obviously, but hoping that I have that. I have 5 mint passes for VFriend Series 2. I just bought 2 Aku chapters. I kind of want to buy more Aku chapters. I'm about to spend 70, which is a lot for me, on things in a week. I'm trying to squeeze out the any little bit of advantage that I can, but that always backfires, trying to time the market too closely like that. Deb or Van, do you guys have insights into whether there'll be a sort of post reveal drop for Akutars?
Honestly, I have no idea. My plan is when the Akutars are revealed, just go on secondary and buy as many rares as I can. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's your play?
Yeah, that's definitely my plan.
So you're smart. You go to the upper end of the spectrum when you buy on secondary?
I do, and I usually get wrecked, but the product is great, man.
Why do you do it? Because I'm a floor rat. I literally buy floors, but I'm cheap, and I feel like it backfires on me because the biggest gains you usually see are in the rarer ones.
But it's what? Because I find there's such a small percentage of buyers at the top end. So if you want to resell right away or you need liquidity, it's harder to sell. Where it's floor, you can sell right away. But I really like the look of the rare ones though.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. Van, do you have a strategy going into this? What's your play?
Yeah, I like the time period right after the reveal, because that's when, these flippers are just trying to get out. So they start undercutting each other, and that's where you can swoop in, get it below, what the initial unrevealed cost was, and then it'll kind of make its way back up. So you have to be around for that period, though. That's the tricky part.
Unless you have a really well-trained boyfriend.
Exactly.
This is the debate.
Yeah, but with the Dutch auction adds a whole nother element, right? So
it does.
Like I got schooled on the World of Women Galaxy one, and I listened to your I listened to your pod with Zeneca, and I'm not as technically proficient as he is, so he killed it, right? He just saw the money lying on the table and flipped it. I listened to what he said, and that's what you got to do. So I was farting around on my phone. I was like doing stuff around the house and like thinking somehow that was going to work for me, right? Like, no, you got to be at your desktop. You got to be focused. You can't have like kids talking to you, and you have to like every second matters, because you got to look at the meme pool and like see when is everyone deciding to commit at that price, and then you have to front run them. And that's if you want to get the lowest price possible, or you can just relax and say, screw it, I'll just see what happens. But then who knows, right? Like the floor could double in like an hour.
I know, that's so true. That's the Dutch auction piece. You're right. I mean, so Zach, my boyfriend, was sitting next to me for like the full however many hours of like the World of Women Galaxy thing. Like it was like a Sunday or whatever day, and we were like hanging out in the house, and I kept like explaining to him what was going on, and I kept flipping between OpenSea to see, the holders who were trying to undercut the Dutch auction, and I was like explaining the dynamic. So he's gotten a little taste of that, but it is trying to game the system in terms of when is it about to sell out, and make sure you have the gas at the right level to bypass the bots and everything like that. That's next level shit.
And sometimes, if you're bullish long term, I mean, do we really think the floor is going to be 2 or 1.5? Like, we probably think the floor is going to be 5 or 10. So does it really matter? Just buy them.
I know. 100%. And I totally agree with that. Like if this wasn't such a big potentially spending week for me, I think I would care less. And so it's so stupid. It's like, just, I need to be more long term about it, because I think all of this stuff is undervalued. Like to the point where I'm like, am I taking crazy pills? And I guess because there's been a big run up. There was a big run up, obviously, before the snapshot was taken for the Akutars, and then prices come down a little bit since that snapshot, obviously. But so there has been a run up, but I'm still just like, these just seem undervalued to me.
I'm gonna drop a little alpha here that we mentioned on our pod as well from Zinc, Zinc interviewed Micah, and I don't know if it was in his interview or some other discussion he had with him, but he said over and over again that the chapters are the kind of fundamental piece to this. And if you look at the chapters, there's one for 0.3, there's one for 0.4, it's chapter 8, chapter 9. And if you watch the videos, they're beautiful. So I bought 8, 9, and 10 yesterday for a total of like the same price as an Akutar.
I bought 5 and 10 this morning for 0.4 each. What's 0.3? Which chapter's 0.3?
Chapter 8, I believe, is the cheapest.
Okay, so I might buy more. This was my problem. I was like, ooh, I can feel it this morning. I was like, I'm about to go this week. And then right before I leave for the Amazon, I'm about to go in on Aku chapters. Because they are beautiful, to your point, Scaly. People should go check them out if they haven't seen them. I don't want to hype them up too bad, because I'm like, they're this well-kept secret, and I just want to go buy more before the rest of the world seems to catch on to them.
RARIBLE is the NFT platform that's leading the charge into the multi-chain universe ahead of us. Available on Flow, Tezos, Polygon, and of course, Ethereum, RARIBLE is the perfect place for NFT newcomers, profile picture collectors, and experienced NFT traders. RARIBLE has a variety of NFT features that set it apart from other NFT marketplaces. They have a native messaging function allowing you to DM your friends or haggle with sellers. They also have a mobile app on iOS and Android with a built-in NFT portfolio tracker tool, so you can easily check the value of your digital art portfolio. RARIBLE is built on the RARIBLE protocol, a multi-purpose, open source, and community-governed NFT protocol that helps build products and services across the NFT ecosystem, including white label marketplaces tailored to specific NFT communities. So go to rarible.com and start discovering and trading NFTs, putting in floor bids to join PFP communities, and DM with some brand new internet friends. Living a bankless life requires taking control over your own private keys. And that's why so many in the Bankless Nation already have their Ledger hardware wallet. And brand new to the Ledger lineup of hardware wallets is the Ledger Nano S Plus, a huge upgrade to the world's most popular hardware wallet. With more memory and a larger screen, the Nano S Plus makes it easy to navigate and verify your transactions. And the paired Ledger Live desktop app gives you increased transparency as to what is about to happen with your NFT. What you see is what you sign. The Nano S Plus gives you the smoothest possible user experience while you're doing all of your crypto things. So go to the Ledger website to check out the features of the new Ledger Nano S Plus and join the waitlist to get yours. And don't forget about the Crypto Life card, also powered by Ledger. The CL card is a crypto debit card that hooks right into the Ledger Live app, right next to all the DeFi apps and services that you're already used to doing, like swapping tokens and staking. So if you don't have a Ledger hardware wallet, go to ledger.com, grab a Ledger, and take control over your crypto.
Okay. Enough said there. Do we have more? More on Oculus?
Question for you guys, because Moonbirds is really hyped right now. If you had 10 ETH and the floor for Moonbirds was 10 ETH, and you had a choice between buying, let's say, 10 ETH worth of Akutars or one Moonbird, what would you do?
Man, that's a hard
Great
choice.
question.
That's tough, man.
Yeah, that's a great question.
That is a really tough question.
Undecided.
I think because I already have a lot of exposure to Aku, I would have to go with the Moonbird.
Yeah, I feel the same on that one, because I think if you didn't, so the question is, do you have any exposure to the Moonbirds? Like
Zero.
if you already have one, maybe, you go with the Akus, but if you have zero, I think you want to be in that,
Exposed.
exposed to that ecosystem. So
I think you're right. I think I'm probably there too, but I hate having one of things because I hate not, I hate not being able to sell out. But I agree, having exposure to Proof and Moonbirds is hard to turn down. What do you think they'll go for? It's the people will be able to get them for the 2.5 ETH who get on the list. What do you think they'll start selling for in secondary immediately after?
10.
Really? You think it'll go that high that quickly?
And I think
what
it'll
are
even
Proof
go
collectives, like 80 ETH now?
80, 90, yeah.
yeah, I agree. I think it's going to settle around 8 to 10. You may be able to get in at 8 if you time it right, but
I can't agree with
God.
that.
Please get me on the auction. Or please, I just want to be on the allow list.
I don't think I've ever seen more OG, like people I really respect in the space talk about Moonbirds in a way that like they kind of act like it's a secret, and it's like the worst kept secret ever,
Oh my God. Well, it's funny. So I interviewed the team, and I think Proof was so stealth, right? The Proof Collective drop. Like, I feel like so many people just missed that, right? And I feel like only recently did people really become aware that it's like was trading at like 40, 50 ETH, and of course now is up way higher. And so in their Discord, I guess a lot of people were like, how is anybody going to know about Moonbirds? Like, we have to make sure people know about it. When they first sort of told their Discord they were doing it. And now the Discord's like, stop telling people about it. Like then they went in the other direction where it just so instantly became known everywhere. I felt like as like the drop.
I know. Well, because I heard his interview with you, and he mentioned at that point he already knew the cat was out of the bag, but his first mention of it on Proof was he was saying how we picked 2.5. Now I know that's way too high. We don't expect it to sell at that. I'm sitting there yelling at my car going, what? Like, of course it's going to sell at that. I'll buy 5 right now for that price. Like, what are you talking 100%. About, Kevin?
Yeah, I know. That was like one of my questions for him. I was like, I've heard you say on a couple Twitter spaces, like, you don't expect it to sell it at 2.5. Like, really? Like, are you kidding? And then it was shortly after that interview, they knew at that point, and they were like, they switched it to this new model. Well, Moonbirds is actually one of our topics. Is there anything else? So are any of you guys in Proof Collective? It sounds like no, based on the thought experiment Deb just did.
My biggest hope probably ever is I did know about it because I listened to Proof since it came out, and I love Kevin Rose, and I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I was all set to buy it. I have like DMs of me telling other people you should get this. I'm gonna get it. It'll probably settle at 3, and I think it was that weird psychological phenomenon. It happened to release. It was a Saturday, and the market was really cold. And the drop went from 3 to 2.5 to 2 to 1.5. And I was DMing with some other guy, and he's like, do you think we should get one? And I'm like, I don't know, maybe not. And then the fact that it went lower than I was guessing made me not want to buy it.
Totally know that
and
phenomenon.
then I didn't buy it. And then I just kind of forgot about it. And you're right. And the next thing I knew, it was like 20 ETH. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah. Yeah, I also was like vaguely aware of it, but I was not even to that point. Like, I wasn't tracking the drop. I listen to Proof sometimes too. I should listen to more podcasts given the industry I'm in, but I don't have as much time as I want to listen to podcasts. And yeah, just missed it. Infinite regret in this space, as Seneca would say.
There's always going to be other opportunities.
Yeah. There's always an X drop. I mean, the reality is, like, I have a hard time staying liquid enough for everything because that's really my challenge. So, I can say all this, but I'm like, okay. The meta economic model, That's how Punk6529 was putting it. There was an article that came out, basically, I don't know what it was in, where we got a little bit of an insight into Meta's plans for Horizon Worlds, which is their virtual reality online game thing. And it was hilarious. Do you want me to give the TLDR on this for folks and we can comment on it, or does anybody else want to run through what we learned here?
Go ahead.
So basically, it was an interview that incorporated some Zuckerberg stuff, other people from the Meta team. But basically, it's a Meta plans to let creators sell virtual items in the metaverse, in their metaverse. But the company plans, in many cases, to keep a cut of nearly 50%. So if you are, a fashion designer making your metaverse wearables and you're selling it in the Meta ecosystem, Meta is going to take like 50% of your sales, which is batshit crazy. And of course, Punk6529 was going off on this, and many others were, and it just feels like even worse than I think many of us were expecting for Meta. Thoughts? Let's hear them.
So apparently it's not that uncommon. I was reading a tweet today by this guy
named
Miguel Piedrafita, and he was saying Twitch, they take 50% of subs. Adobe, they take 65% of stock sales, and Roblox takes 75% of devs' income. So I think it's like a Web 2 dynamic, right? Of taking so much percentage.
I was comparing it to like the App Store, which is 30%, and that gets, I feel like, shit on for the 30% cut that the App Store takes. But that's really interesting, those other comps.
And here we are complaining about 2.5% on OpenSea.
Yeah. Well, I think this obviously hits harder because they're trying to make a Web3 play, and then they're incorporating Web 2 dynamics. And so it's for those of us in the community, obviously that feeling of like, you don't get it, like corporate overlords, you are the company in Ready Player One is the villain company. Van, Scaly?
I don't know. I would say the only product that Facebook actually made themselves that was a good product at the time was Facebook. They just buy everything else. So now they're trying to develop their own metaverse. I don't have any faith that they're going to do it well or that it's going to work.
The other thing I was trying to understand, and I guess part of the reason that the 50% felt so crazy, I can't tell if they're saying something about interoperability here or not. Is the argument here it's 50% if you're on the metaverse platform, but you're going to be able to take it elsewhere? Because they say Meta's Quest store, which sells products for its Oculus Quest headsets, charges a 30% transaction fee. In addition, Horizon Worlds will keep an additional 25% of the remaining profit, resulting in a total of 47.5% total cut for Meta. Meta spokesperson Sinead Purcell confirmed the figure to the Post, adding that Horizon Worlds will eventually become available on hardware made by other companies. In those cases, Meta will keep charging its 25% Horizon Worlds fee, but other companies will set their own store transaction fees. I didn't fully understand that, and I didn't know if it was if that's a nod to interoperability across metaverses. Anybody understand that better than I do?
Sounds like maybe that's the first I heard that, but from what you just said, it sounds like they are expanding, planning on having other people be able to develop on it and then just use their, have it basically be open rather than closed, which would have to, that's the only way you can do it successfully, in my opinion. So, but I wouldn't think Facebook would do that. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah. And that was the thing I was wondering if they sort of understand, because I felt like Mark nodded to it in the big Meta presentation when they did the whole rebrand. It felt like he gave nods to sort of understanding, okay, the fear around Facebook just introducing like a closed metaverse. And so they're not doing that, but the trade-off is sort of what to me feel just like crazy fees when I think in Web3 terms. Van, you have any thoughts on this whole thing?
Yeah, no, I think I agree with everything that was said. It shows that they're not in tune with, Web3, and, maybe they have something else planned, but we've seen historically, Facebook is kind of a closed system, so maybe, within that framework, they think charging that high of a percentage is right, but I don't know. It seems like they haven't done their research and what's, been going on so far.
I just think they're going to need to have such a crazy moat of some sort in order to justify it, because you're going to have so many platforms that will undercut it that are Web3 native. And obviously maybe the moat is the billions of users that they have, and that's what they're betting on, or because I'm with you, Scaly, like I just don't see them innovating to the point of like the tech or the experience or the world being so superior to anyone else who's also trying to do this right now with all the hype around the metaverse and all the different players building it. So I'm just very skeptical that they will be able to produce a product with enough draw in and of itself to command those kinds of percentages. But they do have billions of users, and they're like literally the internet in some countries. So what do I know? Okay. Forbes announced a billionaire collection. Forbes announced an NFT collection, and it's a bunch of characters that are fake billionaires. They were launched on FTX. Did anybody have like initial reactions to this? And then I have some things that I actually think are sort of interesting about it.
Yeah, reading the article, I thought it was a joke at first.
Yeah,
like I didn't think it was serious, and I'm like, no, they're actually serious.
Yes.
And just continuing along the article, they said, they are going to require you to KYC, which is, I feel like that's a big no-no, and it's going to create a lot of folks not wanting to even participate. We don't want a KYC, right? We're all noms right here, like we have, I'm Punk Vandelay. So
yeah,
I don't want to, have to KYC in order to participate in your project.
I totally agree that it felt more like an April Fool's Day prank initially, where you're just like, because there's a world in which it feels like kind of bizarrely tone deaf to launch. Like, I don't know. It was just,
very tone deaf.
And then it's on FTX, and you've got, Sam Bankman-Fried is one of the youngest billionaires. Like, it just felt like this weird, like, very elitist thing. I will say, as I've learned more about it, I think there are some elements to it that are actually kind of interesting. But Dab, Scaly, would love your thoughts if they evolved at all, or you still just think it's pretty tone deaf.
Is it on Solana? If it's FTX, I just would assume it would be.
That's a really interesting question that I don't know the answer to.
Kind of has a Solana vibe, if you ask me.
Yeah. Is that shade?
It is.
It's funny because I was looking at the NFTs themselves on Forbes, and it was really weird. I was struggling to figure out how to like get to the marketplace from the page of them.
When you see a press release on some of these NFT projects, they won't even say which blockchain it's on, which is so funny.
Yeah.
So funny. But even the Forbes site, like I'm on the Forbes site where they're showing wait, hold on. We're going to find this.
Yeah, the photos of the actual NFTs are the best part. They have little crowns on their head. So they're billionaires with little crowns.
Yeah, that's funny. It's ETH. It's deposit at least 0.25 ETH into your FTX account, the minimum amount needed to take part in our NFT billionaire collection sale.
Oh, okay.
So I think it sounds like it's Ethereum.
I'm curious what Deb thinks and what you thought was good about it, Carly, because I didn't quite understand the whole point of it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Deb,
the same thing. I have no idea what this whole project was about. I got confused reading it.
Yeah. So, okay, here was the piece that I thought was kind of interesting. And because, Forbes obviously is well known for its billionaires list, and it comes out with that every year, and we can all, say the billionaire thing is tone deaf, but I know who's a billionaire according to the Forbes list, not closely, but I'm up on that. And these billionaires that they have, what was the piece? So they each of their NFT billionaires has like a fake portfolio that's been like randomly generated of like the stocks they hold or whatever they have in their portfolio, and that portfolio, based on the real prices of whatever stocks they have, they're going to update in real time. So like their ranking on the Forbes NFT billionaire list is going to change according to how well or not their stock portfolio is doing. I kind of thought that was fun. And I kind of thought that was an interesting, maybe like dynamic rarity system. I don't know if it'll play out that way, but if almost like there's something there where the value of them will correspond to, the kind of value of the portfolios they hold at any given minute. I thought that was kind of interesting. And then of course they have done the thing where they worked with a artist in Barcelona to create the artwork for it. And so the billionaires themselves are like super diverse and fun looking. And there's sort of an element of, the diverse billionaires list, and I don't know. Some of that was better to me than what at first glance just being like this billionaires NFT, like what the heck? So I warmed to it a little bit. I'm still not going to buy them, but I warmed to it.
No, agree with you there. I did like the diversity, looking at all the, the mock-ups that they had.
I'll also add that they have stories. Like each of these NFT, each of their billionaires has like a little profile on Forbes. And for me, this is something I think that's been underdone in the NFT space, which is, the picking is very visual right now. You pick characters based on very visual traits. And I've said this before, like I'm a story person, I'm an auditory person. So I like the idea of reading stories about different characters and then picking which NFT I want based on backstory and based on traits other than just the visual traits. So each of these have like they have a profession and they have a little profile. And I think I actually kind of like that as well.
That's cool.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess there's some parts of that are novel, but I don't know. Like none of that appeals to me in any way. It's funny.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. Again, not actually planning on buying in, but and this is like the general market reaction to it, right? Is it being sort of resoundingly slammed?
Yeah, it doesn't seem
I haven't really seen much about it.
Sort of irrelevant in my opinion. I haven't heard anything about it, but doesn't mean it's not going to do well, right? Like the space is big enough where stuff comes out of nowhere and does well.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think let's maybe talk about this 100 ETH challenge y'all are doing. I think that's a fun place to maybe close on.
By the way, I'm already doing better. I checked my floors today. They're looking good.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Somebody explain what y'all are doing.
So we're doing a 100 ETH pretend fund competition. So we each get it's not real money. We each get 100 ETH to buy NFTs. And to make it more simple, you basically just buy a floor of whatever project you want to get into, so you don't have to take into account rarity and all that stuff. So on our pod a couple of days ago, we just released our picks, and then every week we're going to revisit it. And after 10 weeks, 10 episodes, we'll finalize it. And whoever wins gets a very special prize, and the losers will all be humiliated in some certain way. And we would love to invite you to be a part of the competition, Carly, if you're keen to doing so.
I did start to just jot down some of the projects. For me, it just became like, if I had 100 ETH, where would I want my money? I feel like, the strategy here is obviously what are the biggest growth plays going to be, which is so hard to know in a short term. What's the time frame you said you guys are doing it over?
10 weeks.
Okay. That is so hard. But I'll throw out some of my thoughts. But let me hear y'all's. Did you? Could you have variations like I'm going to do 10 doodles, or was it just like it's just like?
Yeah, you can kind of do whatever you want. So mine was all over the place. Mine's like really long. So maybe Deb, you give yours first.
I think I have one of the shortest ones, but yeah. So I have I took one floor Azuki, 10 Beanz, which is the free airdrop that we all got, and 12 Akutars, and that's it. That's all.
Wow, you kept it real simple. Okay. Fascinating. Van?
Just everything on Moonbirds. I'm just kidding.
I was like, wow, that's a way shorter list.
You can't pick Moonbirds. That's not fair. You don't even know what the price
is. If we could, I think it'd be a different story. But
so Moonbirds are disqualified because they're not actually out yet, you're saying?
Yep.
Exactly. Okay. So Carly, you're not allowed to pick Moonbirds.
Okay, understood.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So I went with Zombie Club. If you're not familiar with it, it's a project that's bigger in Asia. So, we found out about it from one of our fellow podcast mates, Plum. So it seems like it's primed to be possibly the Bored Apes of Asia.
Wow. Say the name again?
Zombie Club.
Zombie Club.
Yeah. So there's a big star in Asia named Sean Yu that's involved. So, it's interesting because the Discord is a lot of it's not in English. So it's really hard to follow. But they do have English sections, but a lot of the activity seems to be, in Asia, a lot of meetups and all that. So it'll be interesting to see where it takes, but it does feel like I'm out of the loop a little bit, but I think there is a lot of potential there.
Oh, so I'm looking at it now. Floor is around 2 ETH. All right, I'll look into it. Can't say I love the art, but that's rarely why I pick projects, to be honest. So, so that's not really a problem. Okay, so you picked Zombie Club. Did you say others? What others did you pick?
Yeah, so that was my first one. I bought, hypothetically bought 10 Zombie Clubs. The next is Quantum Keys. So this is, so this is, it's meant to be in real life space, that's opening up in Santa Monica, but it's gonna, Justin, you're with the Twin Flames.
Aversano.
Justin Aversano, known for Twin Flames, is behind it. So they're gonna have mints along the way. So it's similar to kind of the Proof Collective in that you have access to, specific, either experiences or mint. I think the telling sign is that Justin is the biggest holder of these. He's been buying them up in the secondary. And they're doing, they're going outside of photography and actually doing curated art releases as well lately. So I think, there's a lot of potential there. And, you don't want to fake Justin. He's, he works very hard and executes. And my last two, I think everyone's kind of familiar with these, Akutars, like we've discussed in length, and Mfers,
That
for
were on
me,
my list.
Mfers, they're the number one in terms of community. Anytime you post about MFers, you're going to have just the whole group, pile in, they're all in the comments and retweeting your posts. I've never seen anything like it. The MFers are just hardcore,
Yep. I another thing I regret not getting into. Apparently, so the Bankless guys, David Hoffman and Ryan, went in on MFers, and apparently David posted in like the kind of private Bankless Discord chat, 'cause my podcast is through Bankless, just like, hey, like, this is alpha, like I'm buying MFers or something, and I just missed it. And it was like pretty shortly after that they really started doing well, and I was like, God damn. I mean, they'd already been doing well, but they really had that kind of pop off moment. Wait, let me clarify this. Is the point, or the point of the 10 weeks is like starting price versus ending price of the portfolio, not like total price, obviously. Okay, okay. Okay, Scaly.
So basically at the end of 10 weeks, whoever's is worth the most wins. Yeah.
Wait, it's whoever's is worth. Wait, but then wouldn't you just buy, like I'm looking like Zombie Club and but because you bought 10 of them? I'm I don't know.
You're spending 100 ETH right now. You're investing 100 ETH right now. And then how does your investment do in 10 weeks?
Yeah, of course. Okay,
but you can't change it. Yeah, you can only pick once.
For example, I bought 10 Zombie Clubs at 1.7 ETH when we originally did this. So, and Quantum Keys, 10 of them at 2.9. Akutars, 16 of them at 1.3. And MFers, 10 of them at 3.3. And got 99.8 ETH was where I landed at.
Okay. Got it. Cool. All right, Scaly, hit me with yours.
Yeah, so I have a really long list, but I'll try to be fast. So 10 Akutars at 1.3, so that's a nice price already. 2 Beanz, 3 Moars, which we haven't talked about, but that's the Barcelona artist, and it's actually, they're pumping crazy today, which is nice to see. I don't know if you're familiar with that project, but
I'm not.
The art's really cool. Moars. It's pretty high up on the volume list for OpenSea. Cool. 1 Floor Doodle, 2 Galaxies, 5 Adidas Passes. I did some cultural stuff because I'm a man of culture. So I bought a squiggle and a gazer, some art blocks. And then 5 Max Paynes, 2 CyberBrokers, 10 Vayner Sports Passes. We didn't really talk about that at all.
That's interesting, yeah.
And then 5 Quantum Keys. And then 1 MFer just for the vibe. So that was my total.
That's awesome. All right, I'll do mine. I mean, I haven't actually done mine, but I did start jotting down the projects I'd want to be in. I haven't done the quantities, but CyberBrokers was actually the first one that came to mind for me. I'm like very bullish CyberBrokers. I'm very bitter I didn't buy it too. Again, I have a problem pulling the trigger on things. And I think they'll continue to do super well. It's just so hard to know in a 10-week period. It's 2.5 months. Fluffworld would probably be on mine. I didn't hear anybody say Fluff World.
Okay.
I think that's a project that could do well over the next 10 weeks. V-Front Series 2, I didn't hear anybody say. I've got a bunch that you guys said, but I think but they're not out yet, so that would also be, it doesn't count, right?
Yeah, there's got to be an actual market that's trading, so you know the price, yeah.
Damn. That's true, so I can't just get like mint price.
Yeah,
which is 1,000 ETH happening today. That doesn't count?
Yeah,
Or not 1,000 ETH, $1,000 pegged to ETH. To
we made it simple too, so it's just floor prices.
Yeah.
So we can track based on that.
Okay. All right, so maybe that doesn't count. And then Akutars for sure for me. Mfers was on mine. Azuki was on mine. I had a Doodles, World of Women Galaxy. So some overlap with you guys. We're just like, I haven't picked quantities. So I'll have to pick quantities, get myself to 100 ETH. And then...
tighten it up and then send it over, and we'll put you in the pool. And then we're going to have some other guests join, and it'll be fun. I mean, they'll join a little later, so maybe that's an advantage, or I don't know, we'll see, but it should be fun.
Or the prices, if things are going up, floor prices could be higher then, and it's sort of a disadvantage,
Yeah, honestly, you never know, right? Even if you had 1 week to go, that's not necessarily an advantage, right?
Yeah, for sure. You guys, I like this because it has gotten me. I'm like, ooh, so should I buy quantum keys? I've looked at that. I looked at that probably a month ago. I've looked at them on and off, and never have bought. But you're making me want to.
The proof, what Apes did to all PFP projects, Proof Collective is doing to these passes. So you look at these passes and you're saying, okay, a Vayner Sports Pass is 0.35, a Quantum Keys is 3, but there's only 1,000. I mean, what if it goes up to 20,
I also felt like Vayner Sports Pass was maybe a little undervalued because there was sort of that scandal with the launch where, not, again, scandal, probably overstating it, but some people, that it was like $1 million lost in gas or whatever. Like people just got wrecked on the gas. And so I felt like people were a little bit disillusioned with the project there, which I did not faze me. I'm like, all right, they're going to return the gas. I still fully believe in AJ Vaynerchuk and the team. And so I didn't know if that was keeping prices suppressed a little bit. That could be an opportunity.
Yeah, I feel like it is, and it got some bad PR, which will totally blow over, in my opinion.
Total agreed, fully agreed. I said this last week on the pod. I have a friend who worked for Vayner X in its very early days, and is like, AJ's the real brains. She's like, AJ's so smart.
That's interesting.
He's smarter than Gary. I was like, she thinks very highly of both of them, but that's some fun alpha because Gary's obviously so much better known. Cool. Okay. Well, this has taken us to just about the hour mark, or actually a little over the hour mark. Any projects we didn't get to cover that y'all are excited about? Moors, I guess. But you said something on that.
Yeah, Moars. So I apologize if I get the artist name wrong, but I think it's Joan Coachella or something similar to that. He's from Barcelona. You probably will recognize the art if you look at it. He has comics and stuff that he's done, and they're pretty iconic looking pieces. I think the fact that he's European is probably, he probably has a lot more appeal in Spain than in the United States. And so that might be something to kind of look into. I wish I had dropped this alpha yesterday because the floor's doubled in a day.
Wow.
But we'll see what happens. I mean, maybe it'll go back down tomorrow. But my point was that I actually really like the art, and I bought one that I have it on my mural frame right now, and I just really like it. So I didn't necessarily buy it as an investment, but
because you like it. Yeah, that's cool. I'll shout out, I've worked with Gare, who's also a Spanish artist who does crypto geishas, and then he did a super geisha launch that the company I work for was, his partner in. His art's really cool. We're talking about Spanish artists. I'll give him a shout out here. But cool, I'll have to look more into Moors. I like that. And then you mentioned Vayner Sports Pass. I'll say Candy is doing their first MLB full MLB activation. They did some drops last year with some Lou Gehrig related stuff, but they're actually dropping their next generation 720 athletes included MLB sports packs. I think it's $50 for 5 cards. I've never been a sports card trader, but I may buy into this just to have a little exposure to the sports card world.
Is that on
in
ETH?
NFTs? Yes, Candy, but Candy's got an integration with Bitsky, I think. So it's it is a separate wallet, and you have to migrate it over to your MetaMask.
I was trying to figure that out because it seems like it's pretty centralized. They just want you to be able to go on there and buy it, but the back end part was kind of confusing. But it did look like the contract was on ETH on OpenSea, so I just wasn't sure.
Yeah, I yes, I believe it is, but yes, it's it is a little centralized, and I bought one card from Bitsky and when it first was like all launching, and I think it's still sitting there. I literally don't even know what athlete it is. I think his name is actually Micah, which is funny since we were talking about Micah Johnson, but I was like, yeah, and just sort of like, all right, I want to, it was like $20 or something. So, but I think it's still sitting in my Bitsky wallet because I think I never ended up paying the gas to like get it over to my MetaMask. But I do believe I paid in ETH. I don't think I paid in fiat. Oh, I don't know now. All right. Well, so much for knowing anything about that. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining me. And we'll, again, maybe this will end up on Looksrare and then I'll say thanks for having me. But thanks for hanging out.
Thanks for having us.
That was a lot of
Really
fun.
appreciate it.
Thanks, Carly.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I appreciate you having us.
Hey, we hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, head over to Bankless HQ right now to develop your crypto investing skills and learn how to free yourself from banks and gain your financial independence. We recommend joining our daily newsletter, podcast, and community as a Bankless Premium subscriber to get the most out of your Bankless experience. You'll get access to our market analysis, our alpha leaks, and exclusive content, and even the Bankless token for airdrops, raffles, and unlocks. If you're interested in crypto, the Bankless community is where you want to be. Click the link in the description to become a Bankless Premium subscriber today. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for in-depth interviews with industry leaders, Ask Me Anythings, and weekly roll-ups where we summarize the week in crypto and other fantastic content. Thanks everyone for watching and being on the journey as we build out the Bankless Nation.